It's a neighborhood people associate with beautiful tree-covered residential streets, well-to-do restaurants and shops, and one of the most beautiful liquor stores around. But the history of the Rosedale and Moore Park neighborhood is actually much more than that. Its origins were rural. Its lifeline was trains. And two of its most prized properties didn't even last for 25 years.
Rosedale is arguably the area south of the CPR tracks, with Yonge to the west, Bayview to the east, and Aylmer Avenue and Rosedale Valley Road to the south. The Moore Park area, being south of Mount Pleasant Cemetery, north of the CPR tracks, and between two ravines, Avoca Ravine and Moore Park Ravine, commonly known by the city as the Rosedale Moore Park neighborhood.
Firstly, how much do you think this residence in Rosedale went for in 1960? I'll let you know near the end of the video.
Rosedale was originally the estate of influential sheriff and politician William Botsford Jarvis. His wife, Mary Jarvis, named the location Rosedale for pretty obvious reasons: the bountiful amount of wild roses lining the area. The meandering nature of the area is also credited to Mary. Her penchant for trail riding with her horses led to some of the layout. In a city known for being built on a grid, Rosedale, from early on, bucked the trend with its beautiful and confusing streets. In 1854, the Jarvis estate was subdivided by the family. The remainder of the estate was sold by the family in 1864, making it one of the city's first suburbs.
Now let me briefly digress. If you're interested in learning more about Toronto history, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, give it a like, share it, and tell all your friends.
The area's contemporary image of being well-to-do dates back to those years. Moore Park was developed and marketed to wealthy homebuyers by John T. Moore in the 1890s. He would focus on bringing transit to the area. You see, in the 1890s, both the Moore Park area and Rosedale were seen as far away. Moore pushed for train service via the Beltline Railway to make its way north from Union Station to the area. And it did, briefly, before famously going bankrupt around 2 years later. Those tracks, though, now what they call the Beltline Trail. Here is a photo of the Moore Park train station in 1909, already grown over and in disrepair. After all, it had only been in commission for a brief stint nearly 2 decades prior. Side note, this building was torn down in 1945. None of the other stations on the railway are still standing either.
Transit, though, has always played a significantly important role in the neighborhoods lining Yonge Street north of Bloor. The creation of the Yonge subway led to the opening of Rosedale Station in 1954, now a designated Ontario historical property.
Rosedale, just south of Moore Park, was home to 2 very notable Toronto historic buildings, one still standing: the North Toronto train station, which is now a LCBO, and the historically important and sadly gone Chorley Park. Both the North Toronto station and Chorley Park were used for less than 25 years each. The beautiful CPR station only ran from 1916 to 1930 before being decommissioned. It's a wonderfully renovated LCBO now, but interestingly enough, that building has been used by the LCBO and Brewers Retail, now the beer store, for the last 90 years. Brewers Retail went into the building in 1931, the LCBO in 1940. So, Ontario liquor companies have been using that building for more than 6 times as long as trains did, making it more of a liquor station, I guess? As you can see, the building fell into disrepair for decades, and thankfully has been fixed up beautifully now. Chorley Park, on the other hand, what a sad loss for the city. This building right here, named Chorley Park, located right here, was purchased by the City of Toronto in 1960 for, drumroll please, $100,000, and torn down right away. But its origins were vastly different. Chorley Park, known as the Government House, was the official residence of the Lieutenant Governor of Upper Canada and Ontario. It was the 4th incarnation of the residence. The location was chosen because of its seclusion. Very few houses, or anything else, was around the space at the time. When it opened in 1915, it was arguably the most expensive residence in Canada, ever. The French Renaissance-style building was designed by Francis R. Heeks, who also designed the Whitney Block next to Queen's Park.
But although it was a beautiful manor that housed dignitaries, royalty, and Canada's pseudo-aristocracy, the building was controversial and expensive. Politician Mitchell Hepburn ran on a platform of tearing down the property, and when he became Premier of Ontario in 1937, he succeeded.
But the building would live on for a while longer. The Canadian government would buy it, allowing it to be a military hospital during World War II, a headquarters for the RCMP in Toronto, and a residence for Hungarian refugees during the Hungarian Revolution in 1956. In 1960, Toronto Mayor Nathan Phillips would have the city purchase it for $100,000 and immediately tear it down. Keep in mind, though, it had significantly fallen into disrepair. If you head to Rosedale now, though, you can still visit Chorley Park, sans the residence. But if you look at these aerial photographs, some of it remains. Here it is in 1947, and now. If you take a nice walk there now, well, check it out. The small road and the small stone bridge is still there as we speak. Further south, here at 20 Dale Avenue, was the residence of iconic Canadian crime author and Ernest Hemingway pal, Morley Callahan. He lived there from 1951 until 1990. Here is a photo of the old Glen Road Bridge at Dale Avenue over the Rosedale Valley in the late 1800s, seemingly with a couple ghosts on it.
So the Rosedale and Moore Park neighborhood is one of the most picturesque areas in Toronto. It's full of small shops lining the north-south streets of Yonge and Bayview and easily accessible along the subway line. It has some of the most beautiful ravines in the city and pathways. Its early origins as a suburb and a well-to-do suburb have largely stayed the same, except those horses are now cars, and those steam trains are now subway cars. Now let me briefly digress. If you're interested in learning more about Toronto history, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. You can share the videos, pass it around, like it. I don't know.